The pen felt heavy in my hand that morning. Mark stood beside me, smiling, his hand resting on my shoulder. "It's just legal work, honey," he said softly. "Nothing to worry about." I wanted to believe him. He was my husband. But when I looked at the lawyer across the table, his eyes didn't smile back. Something about the silence made my stomach twist, though I didn't know why yet. Before continuing, please subscribe to our channel and like our video. My name is Linda Parker, and I was 52 when all this happened. Mark and I had been married for almost 20 years. We weren't rich, but we had a good life, a cozy house, a small business, and 2 grown kids. I ran a little flower shop in town. Mark worked in construction. He was charming, the kind of man people trusted easily, and I trusted him too. Maybe too much. When we first got married, we promised to build everything together. We shared accounts, paid bills together, and even planned our retirement. He always said, "It's us against the world." But over time, things started to change. He began coming home late, saying he was working overtime. He bought things we didn't really need, a new truck, expensive tools, and told me not to worry. "Relax, Linda," he'd laugh. "You worry too much about money." And I believed him, because that's what you do when you love someone. Then one day, he came home with some papers. He said they were for a new business deal and needed both our signatures because the house was in both our names. "It's just legal work," he said. "I just need you to sign so I can move forward." He sounded calm, and I was tired after a long day at the shop. So the next morning, I went with him to his lawyer's office. The lawyer, Mr. Daniels, was polite but seemed uneasy. He asked, "Do you want me to explain these documents to you, Mrs. Parker?" Before I could answer, Mark spoke up. "Nah, she trusts me. It's just a formality." I remember how tightly he held my hand as I signed. Something didn't feel right. But I stayed quiet. I didn't want to make a scene, so I signed. A few weeks later, Mark started acting different. He was always on his phone, taking calls outside. When bills started piling up and the mortgage bounced, he brushed it off. "Just a cash flow thing," he said. Then one Friday, I came home and found boxes in the living room. Some of my things were stacked near the door. When I asked what was going on, he said, "Nothing, babe. Just organizing." But that night, I couldn't sleep. Something in my gut told me things were falling apart. A week later, a man from the bank came by. He said, "Mrs. Parker, we're finalizing the ownership transfer. We just need your husband's final signature." I froze. "Ownership transfer?" I asked. He nodded. "Yes, the deed. Mr. Parker's paperwork shows the house is now under his name only." I felt my knees go weak. That was our house, the one we built together. And somehow, I had already signed it away. When Mark came home, I confronted him. He didn't deny it. He just said, "It's for business protection. Linda, you'll still be fine." But I knew I wasn't fine. I realized then that I'd been living beside a stranger. A few days later, I went back to the lawyer's office. Alone. Mr. Daniels looked surprised to see me. I told him, "I just need to know what I signed." He opened the file, read the papers, and then looked at me with pity. "Mrs. Parker," he said softly, "you signed a quitclaim deed. You gave your half of the house to your husband." My heart sank. All those years of work and trust, gone with one signature. I didn't cry. I just thanked him and left. Then I sat in my car for a long time, thinking about how love can blind us. That night, I called my daughter, Emily. She's a paralegal. When I told her everything, she said, "Mom, don't panic. We'll figure this out." With her help, and with Mr. Daniels' support, we gathered all the papers and bank statements. We found that Mark had been moving money into his private account for months, even taking a loan in my name. Eventually, we built a case. I didn't want revenge, just the truth. One afternoon, Mark came home and found 2 envelopes on the table. One was from my lawyer. The other was a note from me. The lawyer's letter said the transfers were being reviewed for fraud. My note said, "You told me it was just legal work. Now I know what kind of man I was really signing for. When he read it, he tried calling me, but I didn't answer. By then, I was already staying with Emily. Months later, the court restored my half of the property. Mark was fined for fraud. He tried to apologize, but it was too late. Now I live in a smaller house, just me and my plants. It's quiet, but peaceful. Sometimes I think about that day at the lawyer's office, how I smiled and signed, thinking love was enough. Now I know better. Love should never require blind trust. If someone truly cares, they won't ask you to close your eyes while they guide your hand. I still believe in kindness. But now, I keep my pen steady and my eyes open. If this story touched your heart, please share your thoughts below. And don't forget to subscribe for more emotional stories about trust, love, and quiet strength.